What kind of skill sets can be built among the students through the case teaching? How does NACRA actually set themselves apart from the other academic conferences?
As we develop future business professionals, we want people to have a capacity to express their ideas, defend their ideas, work in a social group with them. Sometimes we review cases and it feels like a dump of information, and what's being lost is the dilemma and the narrative spring.
Good morning. Today we have Dr. Mike Annett, President, North America Case Research Association, joining us here at IILM Lodhi Road for a podcast. Thank you, Mike, for taking your time and joining us today for this podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you today and the opportunity to talk a bit more about case studies and case research.
Excellent. And I understand that this is your first trip to India.
Yes, it's been a wonderful voyage so far, a chance to see the beautiful country.
And IILM is absolutely delighted to host you for these couple of days over here in India. And, India definitely offers a unique blend of cultural heritage, and the business landscape is also evolving. And this creates definitely a perfect ground for management education and case research ecosystem. And I'm sure, Mike, with your visit here and with your vision here, institutions like us, IILM Lodhi Road, will get a meaningful purpose and vision to build this case research ecosystem with a perfect blend of getting both the worlds of academia and industry together. So thank you once again.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here with the institution, with yourself, and a great chance to talk about case research, teaching, and build our capacities together.
Excellent. So, Dr. Mike, in fact, I was going through your LinkedIn profile, and it definitely has been a very, very fascinating journey for you. We have transitioned over the last 2 decades from being an HR professional, from industry to academia, and now case research. And somewhere I read that you have put this identity to yourself being the HR precatric, which is a blend of practice and academia, right? So, what we would like to know that what this identity really means to you, and how do you see this journey of yourself, how it has unfolded over the years? Did you always have this inclination towards being an academician, or did it just kind of emerge organically through your professional experiences and network?
What a wonderful question, and take the chance to introduce myself a little bit more to our group, to our audience. It has always been important to me to be connected to industry. As I was going through my doctoral program, I heard clear about the importance of being a bridge between industry and academia, and that there were not enough people willing to do that work and to find a connection. So upon my completion of my doctoral studies, my regular appointments with our provincial government as a resource professional. And I found it very important to bring my academic training, my research expertise into my roles there to help our government understand more of our resource practices and how they were working, to prove it, and not just from a typical managerial perspective, but the way an academic may understand that.
Okay, so that's great. And then coming towards this side of the table with respect to being an academician and a case research specialist, what would be your viewpoints from that?
Yeah. So it wasn't intentional to join into academia, but it happened. And the motivating force was actually the institution that I do with now, the CUNY University. It does a fantastic job of preparing undergraduate students for business careers. And as part of those roles, part of those experiences, they're often out with industry, solving practical business problems. I was with the Alberta government at that time, and the students came into our boardroom and tell solid business problem. I thought these students are absolutely amazing. They are well trained. They are people. They're energetic, enthusiastic. I would love to be on the side of the table helping to develop students with that capacity.
That's amazing. And I think as an academician, we must make like a conscious effort in our classes to break light projects, to break experiential learning into a teaching pedagogy, because this is what these students today in the Gen Z really needs it. Every time I open my LinkedIn platform or any other social media platform, I see this humongous inflow of teaching cases. Like every day, there is some new case being published somewhere. So, as the president of NACRA, how do you see, what is your viewpoint with respect to this upsurge in the teaching cases? And what is your vision as with respect to the future of case research globally?
I'm also enthused by the amount of cases coming up and being shown and promoted through LinkedIn and other platforms, and I'm all for it. I could not have enough case studies written that talk to classrooms. That's true. But what I do want, and for my platform as NACRA president, is high quality. And that would be a vision that I have for NACRA as to support academics around the world with high quality research methodologies, high quality break practices, and high competency in teaching those spaces so that we have meaningful, effective learning experiences for students using materials that are well written and well prepared.
So, if anyone is an early career professional and wants to publish in your case research journal, what is the path and why it takes, and what do they need to be really aware of? And if you could share, like, any kind of common mistakes to beyond experts may, and how does NAPRA really help in the smooth execution of the application with case researcher?
Okay, so there are a couple, maybe three, clear comments that I'll share a few. First is through one of our affiliated entities, the Case Research Foundation. They offer and they help support the Paul R. Lord Fellowship, which is meant for doctoral students and early career faculty to join into a small network of people to attend our annual conference, to receive specialized training for case mentors excellence, to develop their enthusiasm still, but also their capacity to writing quality cases. The second is through our annual conference. We hold it in October every year, different poets around the North America typically. And there's a very strong developmental conference where people submit either a start case, which is a very initial idea for a case, or a full case that might be 10 to 15 pages, plus full teaching it. And in either situation, receiving constructive feedback from peers that only want that case to be improved. It's a very developmental, supported approach, and that when people finish the conference, they're in a strong position to take that case to a publisher. We have like that two case journal, but we know that there are many other publishing outlets out there, quality to cards, and we support that.
How does NAPRA actually have an edge, or how does NAPRA actually set themselves apart from the other academic conferences, like we have Case Center, ID, Academy of Management? So how do you set yourself apart from them?
One of the glowing praises that tells from every intel background is we are friendly, we're developmental. There is only academics that are wanting your case, your professional excellence to happen. We support each other and grow with each other. That other conferences have similar qualities, but you're universally understood as having that quality.
So that, I'm sure, again comes back from your professional journey of bringing practice and industry kind of together. So having a collaborative culture again here at NAFRA. So that's amazing. Moving on to teaching pedagogy that we apply in the classrooms today. And I can definitely say here at IILM Lodhi Road, we do integrate cases, real-time cases into our classroom teaching. And as a faculty myself, so I teach marketing, Dr. Mai. So as a faculty myself, we call ourselves not just as content experts, but we call ourselves as facilitators of knowledge, wherein you're trying to encourage deliberations, discussions, engagement, and reflective thinking mindset in the students. So, how do you see that how a case teaching method has become today more impactful as compared to the traditional learning teaching techniques? And what kind of skill sets can be built among the students through the case teaching method?
So there's always room for traditional lectures. Yes. But when we're wanting people to learn, I believe strongly in three or four crutches like do be or cold spiritual learning, and having students be actively involved in learning process on passive recipients is very important. Yeah. And in addition to learning the concepts, which isn't worked, the ability for students through case pedagogy, case method, to express themselves, to have grounding in their thinking, to practice socially expressing an idea and hearing both the celebration but also some of the concerns with that. As we develop future business professionals, we want people to have a capacity to express their ideas, bend their ideas, work in a social group with that. And to my view, the case method and case teaching is the strongest way of accomplishing that objective.
So, I realize in my classes, like rather than as a faculty again, rather than just asking students to just go about it to a case analysis, it's very important to ask them to put themselves in the shoes of the faculties and think like a decision maker. So, just moving around with the gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably talk from an academician point of view. As an academician, we are required to publish research papers in index journals like APDCs, Opus, Web of Science. This immense amount of, or I would say, this significant amount of work that goes behind, especially when every primary case research, right? The interviews lined up, and then it's not one person but couple of stakeholders involved, right? So there's significant amount of effort that goes into writing those cases, and you've got to follow up with a teaching note after that, right? But yet, I've seen that in the academic ecosystem, teaching cases have not gained that much weightage and recognition as compared to the academic journals. Do you see any shift happening that we can bring the teaching cases at par with the academic journals and give a piece of advice to the institutions and the entire academic ecosystem? Because, case teaching is definitely a part of teaching pedagogy, right? We bring into practice, we are sharing that in the class. So we're giving a lot of weightage over there. So why not in terms of publications?
Great question. I think the understanding of our fellow academics about what is intellectual contribution, what is scholarship, does need some enhancement. And as we understand on the teaching side of things, that right pedagogy is about the coffee. And we just mentioned here about lectures versus case studies versus others. That the spectrum of what qualifies as capable teaching and meaningful teaching is a broad view. And same thing then with research. Understanding the spectrum of viable, meaningful research contributions where the academic mind gets brought into the product, that their interpretation of what is seen in the world is brought into the teaching note, how to qualify that as a solid intellectual contribution.
Yeah.
Now, some index entities, AD Super example,
Yeah.
has brought journals, case journals into their design. So they're already there.
Yeah.
And that now it relies on our fellow academics to understand that the contributions that somebody like yourself or me, as we're out there primary based research, that while we're working with ethical issues the same way that any other qualitative methodology would, that our contributions do qualify as meaningful research. And that perhaps as the last point to mention, there are several magic theories out there now in the world that are predicated premise in case study research, that peering into the black box of management through this type of interaction has yielded the academic the understanding of the operations and set the germ of that next BIM theory, such as contingency theory or configuration theory. So there's an opportunity to develop theory through case studies, as well as provide confirmations of exactly what is going on in the organization and whether theory actually holds water or not in a live situation.
I read somewhere that it's not only the theory frameworks that you taught through the case studies in the classes, but what you spoke about, that the faculty needs to think of the extensions of those theory frameworks. That is what is where the focus should be, definitely. Dr. Mike, what kind of emerging trends do you see in today's case research writing?
What I've noticed is changing the population is really involved in case studies. From a business point of view, moving away from the very popular high technology tech companies or new tech organizations to more at grassroots local levels, whether they're not-for-profit tech organizations or smaller shops. There's not simply going after the big famous meme. And regarding protagonists, more traditional protagonists aren't simply the CPO of a company or the vice president or something, but a traditional supervisor. Whereas equally struggling with columns that are actually problems that our students will identify at active in the first year to 5 years out of school. and with various generaries and various ethnographic profiles that follow its key size.
Yeah, and especially in this ecosystem of new age entrepreneurs and startup, I think it becomes these kind of cases becomes very relatable to the students in the classroom. Yes, I'm sure NACRA will be receiving a lot of cases and any kind of common thread that you're seeing in the cases today.
Mhm. I think there's three common faults that I mentioned. First one is, as academics and teachers, it's tempting for us to want to instruct. And in our case reports, the narrative, often writers will start teaching about theory or teaching about perspective. The report has to simply reflect what is being more.
Right.
The teaching happens in the teaching.
Yeah.
So that'd be the first challenge. The second one is that people want to put too much information into the case. It is a bit of a fine line between what is too much and too little. But sometimes when we review cases, it feels like a dump of information. And what's being lost is the dilemma and the narrative straight.
Yes.
And the third one is trying to be a little too much in the letter objectives and discussion questions. Typically, 2 or 3 writing objectives with 4 or 5 scaffolding questions is sufficient. Simply having 10 million objectives and 20 questions feels good to say I've helped students learn, but it's too much for a case.
Yeah, I think that's very important just to restrict yourself to 2 or 3 objective cases and any questions. Because then you're not moving away from the main context of the cases. I would really like to understand from you that how, as an academician, as a faculty, I can really build this industry connections in order to source the primary data. Because, we go ahead with primary data research, we also go ahead with secondary research case studies. When somewhere more than secondary, primary is so because we get the consent of the stakeholders involved, and it's kind of more realistic in a way, right? A realistic, strong narrative that you put in the cases. So how can faculties really build the industry connections in order to source that record data?
One of my favorite ways to find these connections is to be in the places where business are. For example, the Chamber of Commerce and various professional networking engagement events and if contacts therein. And then using those contacts to invite those business professionals into that classroom to help my student understand a bit of their business perspective and issue they face. With that warm connection, there's no opportunity to come back and say, build this relationship, you've identified this issue, could we explore this as our key site? So being where they are, inviting them in, and extending the relationship is a fine way to build honors for success.
So that's excellent. You become protagonist in the class itself. That's a great way to start. So one last final question, Dr. Mike. So what is that last piece of advice would you like to give to institutions like IILM Lodhi Road in emerging market like India for building this robust case research ecosystem?
I view cases as a wonderful confluence between the institution, the local business community, the research fellow academics, and using case studies, developing your staff to write them, faculty write them, is a great way for institutions to be present, to show their impact, to show their predictions in the world around them, and in that way demonstrate the value of higher education and what we do as institutions.
So great. Thank you so much, Dr. Mike. This has been absolutely wonderful. Thanks for giving us this time.